let's go about farming some corallum ore, shall we? There are two main methods for this, and I'm going to go through both because one is fast for pure corallum. The other, as you can see from this chest, and this chest, and this chest, is good for extra loot. In particular, the fact that we can get these armor schematics pretty regularly, which means although they can very rarely drop as legendary, because you're building this up, you can create your own legendary one at the schematic table. I know it's a little bit off topic and a bit early to be talking about that in the video, but I just thought I'd mention that yes, if you want to get really good stuff, then you'll do the non-passive method. First up, the easiest way to start farming your corallum is to do it through breeding pals. And the pals that we need are the whales that you'll find over on the Isle of the Glacial Core. So we're going to head on up this way. Once you're here, the pal that you're looking for is the Walaska. So as I said, we're going to basically be hunting a whale. You're going to want to go ahead, weaken one of those so that you can capture it. And you'll see once captured that drops us corallum ore. There is also an alpha to the northwest, and there is an ignis variant close to the volcano island on the very far west as well. The thing with this is, though, even though I'm currently using 2 alphas to breed, it doesn't guarantee us or even make it that common that we get alphas when they breed together. So for the sake of speed, I would just come to the Isle of Glacial Core so that you can start breeding them. Once you have a breeding pair, then you're going to want to put them into the breeding pen together so that you can start generating eggs. And then once you have those eggs, you'll obviously take them to the hatchery here. I've already hatched my batch of them, so I'm sorry that I'm not picking those up right now. But you grab your eggs, take them to the hatchery, and then you'll have a bunch of whales that you can now take to the PAL disassembler so that we can start gaining corallum. This is obviously the most passive way and gives you the most pure amount of corallum. So we can just send all of these through, and then we'll get our pile of items at the end, which is going to include a load of corallum. Of course, the way to make this fast would be to have something like 8 breeding pens, get 16 of them breeding in there, and you can generate corallum pretty quickly. This is probably going to be the fastest way to get pure corallum. Probably most useful when you're doing something like using the charge rifle, because then you actually need corallum for ammunition. But in general, if you're just trying to build up some gear, it might not be the best way. So for what I think is the best way for most people, at least if you're only starting out, we're going to need a fishing rod. So make sure that you get to level 45 and unlock the advanced fishing rod. And additionally, at 61, we want to have the powerful fishing magnet. Yes, the powerful fishing magnet does need some hexalite, but it's not as expensive as it seems because it's only 1 hexalite for 10 magnets. And each of these magnets is going to get you something like 5 to 10 corallum to start with. It's important to say to start with because once you have done this for a while, you'll actually unlock an even better variant of the fishing rod, which is the Depresso. I don't know if there's one after this, but as you're going around in a second, you're going to want to keep an eye out for that upgraded fishing rod because that does drastically improve the amount of stuff that we get when we are farming up the nodes that I'm going to show you. So with your magnets and your fishing rod, make sure that you also have a pal that can swim. We literally just went to an island that has Neptulus on it to go on in there and catch this guy. He's pretty useful because his special ability is a jump, and that helps us to spot the nodes that we want to use to farm the corallum. So with those equipped, then we're going to head on over to Faybreak, where we're going to go ahead and we're going to start at the north. We don't have to do this, but I find it just helps out with my mind when I am farming for all of this stuff. We then want to head towards the sea, mount up on your fishing pal, where you'll find that we have these wreckages out in the sea. Just a quick zoom in here. Notice how it has golden rings around the barrel. Pull out your fishing rod, begin to fish. It's a very easy and quick mini game where you just hit the right spot, and that is going to get you, as you can see here, look, we've got the hexalite schematic again straight away, and the corallum ore. I know the corallum ore is what's most important, but the extra stuff we get from using this method is so good that I just think this is crazy to ignore. But now you can see how this is going to work. Let's take a look at the limits of where we can go. All right, and as you can see, pretty much all of this water between the Faybreak and Volcano Island, they're all going to give us the gold ringed loot that we're wanting to farm. But as we come over to the east, we should find that some of them are going to have black rings. If you see the ones with black rings, that means it's time to turn south, and we don't really want to get too close to the volcano zone anymore. And now we kind of have the idea of how far from the island we can go when it comes to farming up this loot. As we're going to go around, because we have Neptulus, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump. And that allows you to get a better view of the surrounding area, which just makes it way easier to spot the wreckages that we need to farm. These don't seem to be randomly generating. I think it's quite long as well for them to respawn. You may be looking between 5 and 9 in-game days. It was difficult for me to count because it took so long. And because obviously you're going out here and each time you'll have missed a couple, so there's still some loot left. It was a bit hard for me to count the days. So some somewhere between 5 and 9 days. So if you leave this for 7 days after you've given the area a good clear out, you should find that your loot is all respawning. And after what is a very quick run, I kind of just stayed pretty close to the island, came around to this next fast travel point. You can already see all of the loot that's building up in my inventory here. It gets quite crazy quite quickly, especially if you want things like the power reversers, because this makes breeding easier. There is one final thing we can do to boost the drops though, and that is to get yourself a fully condensed Gelroy. For that, all you need to do is look to the north, where you'll have the Phantom Isle, which is where it spawns. There are only 2 PAL types that spawn on this island, so all you need to do is just weaken them down, throw your PAL spheres out, and you'll have plenty of them in no time because they spawn in such good numbers. And that is how you farm your corallum.